Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a legal complaint against barrister and solicitor Lisa Burgis. Our mission here is really to pull out the core allegations of professional misconduct and try to see how they fit into a vulnerable client's wider struggle for justice, a struggle they actually call a second betrayal by the system itself.
Yeah, and what's really compelling here is that this isn't just, a technical legal thing. We're looking at alleged failures in diligence, communication, client treatment, but framed by the client not as isolated events, more like a cycle of wrongdoings. It really shifts the focus, I think.
Right, away from just the one lawyer to something maybe bigger. And here's where it gets, well, really impactful. Our listener, an immigrant, wasn't familiar with the Canadian legal system, deeply in debt after some significant personal trauma. They sought help through legal aid, the service for people who can't afford a lawyer. And they came to feel their whole story and the proof I had was just brushed aside like it didn't matter.
Wow.
That frustration, that feeling of being totally unheard, led them to report an unscheduled phone call. This was June 23rd, 2025.
And that was after they'd already terminated her services. The complaint says that happened via email July 22nd, 2025.
Exactly. So they reported the call after termination, specifically, they say, to get evidence for the Law Society.
That decision, to proactively report like that, it really speaks volumes, doesn't it? It shows a client feeling so compromised and distrustful they felt they had to create their own record. That points to a serious breakdown.
Definitely. So let's look at some of these alleged core breaches. The complaint mentions June 26, 2025. The client emails Mrs. Durr about a potential charter rights violation during their arrest. And for listeners, charter rights are those fundamental freedoms in Canada, like against unreasonable search or arbitrary detention. Very important stuff.
Crucial, yeah.
They also ask for a release order, basically the document to get out of custody. Mrs. Durr's alleged response. On the charter issue, complete and utter silence.
Oof, silence on a charter issue. That's significant.
And on the release order, apparently quite dismissive, saying something like, I haven't specifically looked for it. I can look in there, as can you.
Right. That alleged inaction, especially on a potential charter breach. For someone new to the system, these rights are key. To not investigate suggests, a real lack of diligence, wouldn't you say?
It certainly seems that way based on the allegation. Then fast forward to July 22nd, 2025. The client sends this detailed complaint email outlining what they called repeated failures.
Okay.
Mrs. Durr allegedly responds by framing it as an explosion of emotion and then terminates services, saying, I don't think we're a good fit.
So framing the client's detailed complaint as emotional and then terminating, that's a difficult interaction.
And then there's that recorded call, the June 23rd one. The client claims Ms. Durr told them, quote, it is not a job of a lawyer to believe their client. Get your friends to believe you.
Wow. That's quite a statement for a lawyer to allegedly make.
She also apparently dismissed their detailed written account. The client had written things down as a book, a novel that you're going to publish.
Dismissive.
And made other comments like, let's fix you okay. And also acknowledged, you've been treated like shit, I accept it.
Okay, those alleged statements, especially to a client who's already vulnerable, they seem to invalidate the client's experience, don't they? It suggests a sort of controlling communication style. And trust is fundamental. Comments like that, if true, would seem to directly contravene the Law Society of Alberta's Code of Conduct. That's the ethical rulebook.
Exactly. So what does this all mean when you zoom out? This deep dive seems to point to something bigger, at least for this listener. For them, Mr.'s alleged actions aren't isolated. They see it as part of that cycle of wrongdoings, that second betrayal by the legal system itself.
They connect it to other experiences.
Yes. They detail similar issues with other legal professionals. An eviction lawyer, they claim, didn't present key evidence. A criminal lawyer apparently refused to show exculpatory evidence that's evidence that could potentially prove innocence. And even a mediator allegedly used these really aggressive analogies like pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
So a consistent feeling of dismissal of their narrative, their evidence, just not being taken seriously across different types of legal help.
That's what the complaint suggests.
That really does raise significant concerns, potentially about systemic issues, how these individual alleged instances can weave together in a client's experience and just profoundly erode their confidence in the whole system that's supposed to provide justice.
What an intense look into this. I
I
think the core takeaway here really is how these alleged failures in diligence, communication, basic client treatment
Mhm.
by one lawyer can feel like, or maybe even be part of, a broader systemic challenge, and how that profoundly impacts a vulnerable person's search for justice and their trust.
Indeed. And this deep dive really underscores just how critical the role of regulatory bodies like the Law Society is. Upholding standards, protecting clients, especially vulnerable ones. It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do these sorts of individual complaints hint at larger, maybe unaddressed patterns? Patterns that chip away at public trust in the very system designed to deliver justice for everyone.